Welcome back to Turf Talk, Big Win Edition. Vance Frosted did it again. He had his doubters, mine included. Not that he didn't have talent, but at 1-2, I was willing to take a shot. He could not replicate his mile around 2 turns. He did it in style in the Whitney. Clearly a contender for year-end honors.
Absolutely. I mean, we never expected Frosted to go for the lead, or at least I didn't in the Whitney, and he went out and proceeded to set some blazing fractions, 23:46, 109 and change, and he just kept on chugging and chugging through the stretch, and there was just no stop to him in the Saratoga stretch, and it was just an awesome performance. Obviously not quite to the standard of his Met Mile, but that's still 2 huge races in a row, and yeah, he's put himself squarely into older male consideration for sure.
Yeah, pretty much controlling his own destiny, assuming he goes to the, some big race as a prep for the Classic and then the Classic itself. Some chatter after the race that he was now the favorite for Horse of the Year, which in my mind means he's the favorite for the Classic because he's not winning Horse of the Year without winning that race. I do disagree with that. I think California Chrome already has beat him head-to-head. There are those who maybe don't count Dubai as much, but that's the only race we have to go on for those two. And there's the fact, I've talked about it on Twitter, at a mile and a quarter, Frosted has not done his best work. He's 0 for 3 with only a third place finish, the best of that, and that was in the Travers. So there are some questions. To me, assuming California Chrome wins the Pacific Classic, he's comfortably the favorite in my mind. And if he's not, when it comes time to bet, that's where my money's going to be.
Yeah, I agree totally with every point that you just made there. Frosted does have the cachet of victories in the Met Mile and the Whitney. Cal Chrome, however, does have that head-to-head win in the Dubai World Cup, which I think was now generally, I could say, hey, it's an overseas race, maybe don't count a loss against him, but since both of them had wins over the Meydan racecourse track, it was a fair, square battle between the two. Cal Chrome was much superior there. Now maybe Frosted will be able to cut the deficit a little bit in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but like you said, he needs to run the table. He's got to show a prowess for a mile and a quarter, which we already know Cal Chrome has. Cal Chrome will be the definitive favorite in the Classic if he wins in Del Mar in a couple of weeks. And another criticism Cal Chrome has had from these same critics is that he has only 2 Grade 2 wins on the season here in the United States. Well, those Grade 2 wins did involve several Grade 1 horses.
That's right.
And if we just start tallying grade races and grade statuses in this day and age, I just don't think that's the way to go.
Well, I mean, no question the Met Mile is one of our premier races for older males, but, the Breeders' Cup Classic will be an opportunity to settle it. And even, I might have California Chrome number 1 right now, which I do, and Frosted below him. But, Frosted wins, he's it. I mean, there's no question that you could say who's ahead now, but it is going to come down to that race. I thought it was interesting in the Whitney, Noble Bird, who tried to run with Frosted early, really backed out of it. So to me, that enhances, in my mind, Frosted's performance because the other horse who ran with him was nowhere late. To me, you can question who was behind him, though. I mean, we're talking about him beating Comfort. California Chrome had to face Dortmund. Granted, it was off the bench. He's going to have to see him again. I would certainly take Dortmund over any of the horses who were behind Frosted in the Whitney. So class is going to come into play, and we still have to hear from the 3-year-olds when they finally step up against older.
Yeah, you can an Exaggerator looks like more of a mile and a quarter horse than, say, Nyquist or maybe a couple of the others. Creator could get a mile and a quarter, obviously, but it'll be at Santa Anita. He'll be asked to do that. I don't know if he is the typical California type horse to win at a mile and a quarter out there. So it might just be Exaggerator among the 3-year-olds who's going to be the main 3-year-old contender for Horse of the Year going forward.
Yeah, and unless Songbird faces males at some point, which it doesn't look like she will, but certainly a name to keep in mind. And then Tepin and Flintshire waiting in the wings for chaos to reign, because on turf they would certainly be the go-to. Speaking of turf, Arlington Million Week is upon us. Pre-entries are out. Kelly Riley, fantastic job scouting the fields. I'll be up there live later in the week, so you and James will handle the on-point duties for a pick, but we're going to have some video from Arlington as well. But definitely one of my favorite weekends of the year. I don't go to Saratoga or Del Mar. I like going up to Arlington. for the Million. They do a great job, and a big race close to your home somewhat. I mean, Minnesota is not exactly down the street, but I mean, in terms of big races in the region, certainly the Million was it.
Oh yeah, and there's no excuse on my part after being a racing fan for 30 years, still not having gone to Arlington for the Million. It's a race. I think my first Million that I remember was in 1986, watching it on a simulcast, and it's still a great race, and I've watched it every year since, and it's always good to see Arlington Park get some major horses back into there in a very historic venue.
Yeah, Chicago does a great job supporting racing. Really a deep history of harness as well that unfortunately is gone by the wayside. Hopefully the flats won't face the same fate, but Million Day, definitely a vibrant time. Chicago, well, you're getting up to your first jug next month, so maybe next year we'll get you to your first Million. But is it a great day, and we'll have Four-Star Dave at Saratoga as well. And of course next week the rematch with Chrome and Dortmund and whoever else shows up in the Pacific Classic. So lots to look forward to.
It's August.
Yeah, August, summertime. Living is easy. We'll talk to you next time.